Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chamber Talk Show, and we are discussing today frenemies. I am Dr. April. We have Dr. Tamika, Dr. Kanisha, and Dr. Tamara. Okay, ladies, let's get started. Frenemies, who wants to go?
Do we all have a definition of frenemies?
Yes, I pulled that up earlier. Let me get it.
Well, while she's getting the definition of frenemy, when I hear the word frenemy, I think of posers, people who may pose as a friend with ulterior motives. And my question to you ladies is, do you believe that there are instances where people may subconsciously pose as frenemies and it's not necessarily a conscious motive that they may be trying to sabotage you?
I do. I think sometimes people start out being genuine, and then sometimes they see your progress, and then with that, they feel like maybe in the end I can benefit from this. In the beginning, it was pure, and then it becomes tainted. And I've seen that happen before, befriending people. I don't have a whole lot of issues with the Judas syndrome. That's what I call it. Judas, is there a Judas amongst you? But because most of the time my circle is really small, and a lot of times I'm really busy, and I don't really focus a lot on that. Um, the majority of the people that I really confide a lot of things in are sisters, because I have a huge number of sisters. I have 5 sisters and my mom, and we talk throughout the day all the time. So my mom believes that her friends are her daughters, of course, and so we pride ourselves on telling each other certain things. Not all sisters, but for the most part. So when it comes to people in the small circle that I have seen it before where they do have, again, like I stated earlier, pure motives, and then they change along the way. And sometimes along the way, people get a little jealous. So that, to me, that's my definition of frenemy. They become a friend. Things may not be going as planned in their particular lives, and so then it changes. There's a shift, and that shift comes in when people think, "Well, I'm not doing that well." So now you can begin to see some of the things that they. Because sometimes people will try to sabotage you. So I don't know if that has been you guys' experience.
I feel like
Well,
there aren't too many ladies who haven't had that kind of experience. I think now, being older and with the spirit of discernment, I can avoid it. But I just remember, I want to say the height of it was probably my 20s, undergrad, college, where people are trying, and that's why I asked about subconscious motive, where people are trying to find their way. And people will use other people as stepping stones. But okay, back to the definition. Are you ready, Dr. April? Do you have our definition of frenemy?
well, the definition is a person with whom one is friendly, despite a fundamental like or rivalry.
Hmm.
Hmm. So anybody want to share their experiences?
Well, I think frenemy can go with as it relates to family members as well. I think probably that would be more or less probably my past issue with frenemies. It's been a family member who, your family, so you have to like each other given that you're family, but undercover, they may hate you or they jealous of you or they can't stand you. So you really have a good relationship, but you're cordial.
That happens.
And I like what you said, Dr. Kanisha, about the discernment. Because thinking about that definition that Dr. April just gave, I don't think I would hope that I wouldn't have had any frenemies, because typically I have a sense of discernment of where I sit with people and where they sit with me. Now, I do agree with what Dr. Tamika says, that sometimes those kind of issues, maybe of envy, can kind of creep in, even with your people who you consider friends, who you love and you care about. And you know, a lot of times if you have just kind of a long-standing relationship, you can get past that. But as far as really having someone who maybe has a dislike for you or rivalry with you in some case, that is kind of on a whole different level. And that, yeah, that can be a bit harder. And I think discernment is really important when it comes to who are you letting in your space and what boundaries are you having with people.
How do you handle these types of people, though? What do you say? Get away. I don't want to talk to you. What if you're wrong? What if you are like sisters, really? And then you have fallen out. You know the moments when you do have close sisters, and sometimes you fight as well. So what would be your advice to someone who feels like they do have someone in their circle that's really not in their circle?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to answer that two-part because I'm gonna tell you how I have handled it, but it's not advised that people handle things the way that I handle it because I'm still growing and God is not through with me yet. But the way that I handle things, like I treat people how I want to be treated. Like you're never gonna wonder or have to guess how I feel about you. And I'm a heads-on kind of person. I'm not gonna play around or dodge around the subject. Like I'm going to combat it head on. And in my particular situation, like I said, I was young. This happened to me when I was in my 20s, where I realized like a dear friend, somebody that I grew up in church with, I had known my entire life. Our parents were friends. And when they found out that I was graduating from undergrad early, like I finished undergrad in 3 years, like they literally tried to tell me not to graduate because there were going to be repercussions for them, because they couldn't graduate in 3 years and their family had put it in their mind that we weren't really friends, that we were in competition. And I never felt like I was in competition. Like I felt like this was my friend, but this was someone who had been competing with me my entire life, like trying to figure out what I used on my hair to make it grow, like would come spend the night with me to learn more about me, to use it against me. And I had absolute, literally, this is 15-year friends. Like we literally met as toddlers before I can remember. And this is like my 19th, before my 20th birthday. I found out the entire time this entire relationship was a lie because they were competing with me the entire time and I had no idea. So how I handle it is with immediate confrontation, because I felt betrayed. And I wanted answers like, how could you pretend to be my confidant? Like this is somebody still to this day that probably knows like some of my deepest, darkest secrets. And then you have that mother voice in the back of your head that's like, everybody ain't your friend. Everybody's heard that. But you want to believe that there's at least one person out there rooting for you. And I really thought that was my person, and it wasn't my person. And so, I mean, I severed ties, severed the relationship, had absolutely, I think the last time either one of us reached out to each other, I do believe she did reach out to me when my dad passed, but I had no words. I have nothing to say to this person. I don't wish any ill will on the person, but I had to confront the situation because I felt betrayed. And two, I needed for them to know that it wasn't not okay. And three, I wanted answers that I never got. And I actually talked about this in my book, where I had to give myself closures because she could never give me closure. I wanted to know why. Why would you do this? Like, why literally this was my person, my confidant, the first person I would tell about something good and bad happened in my life. And come to find out, like some 15, 20 years later, the entire time it was a hoax and you were really like competing with me. So now my advice, now that's how I handled it. And my advice to people is that you have to get past like looking to people that harm and hurt you. They're not going to give you the answers that you want. You have to give yourself closure with the situation and move forward and not hold other people, hostage for what somebody else has done. Like I've been able to move forward with wonderful friendships and wonderful relationships since, and learn a lesson from that, but I don't treat everybody like they are that person.
I think Brandy, okay, I think she summed it up. I'm sorry, and then I'll let you go. She said jealousy, envy, and insecurity. And we know insecurity is major because some people are hanging around to progress themselves. based off of something that you're doing. And I see that quite a bit. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut somebody
I
off.
was just curious with Dr. Kanisha, that example, do you feel like it was all a complete lie, or was there some authenticity and some friendship actually there?
No, I mean, no, because from what she was saying, like even from like actually even like being little girls, you know, like when you bring your report card to church or what, like it, even from her own acknowledgement, it had pretty much been our entire lives. And in her mind, I guess she was winning. I don't know. But no, I don't believe that any portion of the friendship was ever genuine. Because even after this moment, like even when she reached out to me when my dad passed away, was the most disingenuous, like I'm sorry. And like knowing how close me and my dad were, like I was a daddy's girl. And when I say reached out to me, it was like a text message, and she might have sent a card like, sorry for your lost with a T, which is even more annoying.
Wrong loss.
And you can, ugh. So even since then, like never even acknowledging any of my accomplishments since then. Like I graduated from medical school. I've been, I mean, there's never been an acknowledgement of anything that I've done. So no, I don't believe that any of it was genuine. And even hindsight in the friendship, it was always what I could do for her, who I could introduce her to, and who she could meet through me. So no, I don't believe any of it was genuine at all.
Yeah, because that was my next thought about, looking back on it, could you see some signs? And what do you guys think are the signs of someone who is in your life, maybe just to idealize you, who maybe have turned envious? What do you see? What are kind of those telltale signs of a person who maybe was a friend turning into a frenemy? Or what do you all think?
I think go ahead, Dr. April.
Well, I was thinking being critical. Sometimes those people try to one up you. It's like they have to do something better. Like, well, you got all this, but hey, I got married. So you still single, but I got married. So it's like a one up, and then, just being critical of your accomplishments. You may have all those other friends who are praising you and telling you you're doing a good job, but you may have that frenemy that one is always trying to find something critical. Oh, well, maybe you should do it like this, or you did this. It's like it's always something critical. But my way to deal with those type of people is to cut them off. You can still be cordial, on a hey, how you doing basis when you see each other, but as far as the constant everyday conversation and having them in your circle and hanging out, like, no, cut ties, because that person don't mean you any good.
And that was actually my same thought. I mean, you took the words literally out of my mouth. When you're doing positive things and then they're putting you down or saying, oh, well, yeah, you could have done this, or you could have done it better, or like you said, or I've done this, or I've done that as well. What happens though when it's somebody in your own household that does that? What do you do? When you're in a relationship with someone and they do that?
I have a short tolerance for it now. And this is also because this happened so early in adulthood. I am very observant of behavior that I feel I missed the first go round. Like, not like you said, being critical is one thing, but I would also notice if I had something good to say, that was a very short conversation. Like, oh, like I really did good on this project. Oh, okay, that's good. All right. Well, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. But if I call with bad news, like, I think I done gained 15 pounds in quarantine. Oh yeah, girl. It is like, you just look horrible. Like, they will literally go in for 30 minutes about 15 pounds you done gain, as opposed to you have a celebratory conversation. It's real short, real quick, and we're gonna cut that short. Let's move on. Let's get back to your niece asked you today. So I am very observant now, and I have very little tolerance for that. Like, everybody has bad days. Everything is not gonna be sunshine and roses, but I cannot be around people that can't celebrate other people. Not even just me. If you can't celebrate anybody else. And you also have to take notice of the people that are in your life on how they treat other people. Like, some people don't have the best relationship with their family, with their parents, with their siblings. And that happens, but how do they handle that? Because if you're truly a good person, no matter how someone treats you, the way that you react is a telltale sign on you being a truly good person, or there's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
What's the worst type of betrayal in you guys' eyes? Family, friends, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends. I call it sleeping with the enemy. Let me just come out with that. People that have been betrayed by someone that they've either been married to, or somebody that they're in a close relationship with, or maybe engaged to.
I don't know if I have a weight on it. Like, I just don't tolerate betrayal. I will say this, like, lying sets me off, but like in different degrees. Like, if I ask you a question and you lie to me because maybe you don't want to answer me, you just don't want me to know, or maybe I'm being nosy because I do that. But if I'm not asking you anything and you go out of your way to call me, find me, to lie to me, that is toxic energy to me. Like, that's a difference to me. Anyone else? April, you haven't said anything.
Because I'm just trying to think. I think, like you said, I mean, it's more or less, it depends on the person. I don't think there's a weight of, okay, which family, relationships, friends. It just, what is the betrayal? I think it starts with that. What did they do? Because, you know, your love relationships can be very devastating. Your friendships, depending on what your friend did, could be very devastating to you. So to me, it just depends on what actually happened.
And I also think the worst kind of, especially now as a mother, the worst kind of betrayal is not towards me. Like, I'm an adult, I can take care of myself. But anybody who does something to my child, God help you. My child and my mama. My brother, he's grown, he's on his own. But you come for my child or my mama, God help you.
All right. So I want to shift it just a little bit. And I call it the Judas complex. Whereas you have somebody in your circle, they're technically someone, whoever it is, they don't belong there, and they are exposed in some type of way. But that exposure leads to your growth. You got follow me? Like, they're exposed. Now I see what you're really about. Now that you have been removed from my life, now my life can actually go in the direction that it's supposed to go. Does that make any sense to you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A lot of times that happens with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
You ever look back at a relationship, you're like, ooh, I dodged a bullet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, God, you know what you did right there.
Oh, absolutely. And you may have felt like you've been grazed by that bullet, but it did not kill you. You know, it may have hurt a little bit, but okay, at least you got away.
I feel like that happens more so with like romantic relationships, where it might have stung a little bit because it didn't work out, but just give it time and you be like, oh, that's what God was trying to keep me from. Okay, good looking out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you never see it when you're in it. You know, you never see it when you're in it. It's when you get out of it, and sometimes maybe a year or two after you've gotten out of it, to where you see oh wow, I'm glad I wasn't with this person. Glad this, ended when it did. But it also helps you grow as a person and share those experiences with someone else that you see them going through the same exact thing. And it's like, ooh, been there, done that. Let me tell you what I did and how, this helped me.
I love it, Dr. April. I always say to people, and I say to women a lot of things that we experience is only to help somebody else on their journey. Things that we've gone through, things that tried to break us, that didn't, people that tried to break us, but couldn't. And so now you take it and then you can relate to people. People that have not actually experienced life, sometimes they can't help other people. But because you've been through an experience that nearly tried to take you out, so when they come to you, you can say, girl, look at me now. I went through this. I triumphed. I have the victory. Yes, I had a Judas moment and a Judas experience. This person kissed me on the head and, gave me up. But guess what? I came out of it and you can come out of it. So I say it all the time, every single time. What we go through is for somebody else. So when we talk about frenemies, I'm like, there's nothing probably that I have not experienced.
Has anyone that had like a workplace experience where you felt like maybe there was like a coworker or even a supervisor that on the surface appeared to be rooting for you, and the entire time they are like plotting to either take your place or get you out of the way? That is irritating to me and my spirits.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had that experience with, it was actually someone who was supervising me, and I had a partner who I worked with. And I mean, I always knew, I always kind of had my eye on her because I knew, I really knew what kind of person she was. But she ended up at some point telling the partner who I worked very closely with daily about something that I had said about him, which was very true. It was basically that he did not work very hard and it was affecting our, how productive we could be. So I wasn't mad that I said it. It was like, I'd tell him that, but her going back and telling him that really fractured the relationship with my partner who I still had to work with. And the thing is, she was over both of us, and really our productivity affected her as well. So, we kind of had it was a bit of a come to Jesus. And, it really turned out well for me because at that point she was kind of like, okay, well, I'm ready for you to leave in a sense. And in that leaving, she helped me get in a position that I would have never gotten it had it not been her really doing the work. So it was like she was really wanting me to leave, but she helped me in the process. So it actually, it's kind of like, what the devil means for bad, God can turn around for good.
Yes,
so it was really, I was like, I wasn't mad that happened. It was really irritating at the time, but where I ended up because of that situation was a fantastic opportunity for me.
That's awesome. I so love the fact, and I know we talk about spirituality and we talk about God and discernment, and I think I look at you ladies and I see how accomplished you are and how well spoken you are, and so I can see where people can be intimidated, they can be insecure when you walk in the room. So I think for even the people that are watching, prayer and asking God to expose those people that shouldn't be around or in your circle, I think that's key. I think that's major because I always say, please expose the people that shouldn't be around, or allow something to happen to where they're no longer in my circle. I only want productivity for where we're going and what we're doing and what we're working on. So I thought that was amazing that you said that, Dr. Tamara, about what the enemy meant for harm, God turned it for good. And so that happens often. Somebody was going to say something.
Well, I was going to say, like, I've had similar situations where me avoiding that negative energy and getting away from people that meant me no harm has pushed me into independent situations that always turned out for the better. especially career-wise.
Dr. April?
Same for me. I worked at an organization to where, you go in and you're the one that you know what you're doing, but they'll hire someone over you who may not have as much experience, and you're trying to help them and tell them how to do the job. It's like, well, go ahead and give me the job if I got to help tell this and how to do it, because they don't necessarily know, what they're doing. In the same interim, that end up getting rid of that person. But still, the enemy still would not give me the job. That's the thing. So even though you get rid of the person, you still didn't give me the position. So I think that was my blessing in disguise, to where now, hey, I'm running my own company. I'm running my own organization. So all those people that would not put me in that supervision role, now I have a director's role in my own stuff. So God can turn it around and work it out that way too.
Yes, indeed. Hallelujah.
Absolutely. And I know we're running out of time, but so therapists, what are some practical things that people can do, of course, when they identify that people are not for them? What are some things that people can do?
One of the main things I tell people is, and work with people on in the therapy space when it comes around to the people and kind of relational issues, is really, let's talk about boundaries and putting healthy boundaries in place when it comes to certain people. Because, it could be someone who maybe has to be in your life for a certain reason, like they're a family member or something like that. But, you are really in charge of who is in your, and how you let them in your life. So to really kind of take ownership of that and just figure out what is a healthy way for you to be able to interact with them, if at all. Sometimes you have to cut people off, and I do tell people kind of what you said a bit earlier, Dr. Tamika, about, when you have these moments of maybe someone betraying you, that those kinds of situations that come up are really a pruning process. And pruning doesn't ever feel good. But, like in the wintertime, we prune trees. You have to prune them, or they a lot of times will die, or they just won't become as abundant as they should be. They may not grow fruit like they should. They may just never get to be as full as they are. So that part of the pruning process, which does not feel good, really is, you will come back, and you can come back better.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Any closing words before we go to Dr. April, so she could give us an affirmation as we close?
I just tell people, like, even the bad situations are lessons in life. Learn from it. Of course, hindsight is 2020. Whenever I come out of these hiccups in the road and relationships that necessarily might not have meant me the best, I try to take something away from it and learn from it, because you don't want to repeat those mistakes, and you want to come out of it not bitter but better. So that's my lesson. It's like, there are no losses, only lessons. Try to learn something from the situation so that you're not bound to repeat it, and don't be bitter about it, because better is coming and you will be better. And from a personal and professional standpoint, especially in personal and romantic relationships, don't chase things that aren't meant for you and try to hold on to something that does not mean you good. Just give it time, and it will definitely reveal itself that it was not for you. And if it is, it will come back better, and you come back better.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I want to close with the affirmation of, my friendships are beautiful, honest, healthy, and pure.
Mhm. I like it.
I love it. Beautiful, honest, helpful, and
Healthy
pure. Did I get
and pure.
healthy?
Yes,
Healthy.
healthy.
And pure. All right.
I hope they're helpful too.
Right.
Right. And beneficial.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for joining We'll be back probably in a couple of weeks with another show. Please follow us, the Chamber Talk Show, on Facebook. You can also go out to IG as well, the Chamber Talk Show as well, and follow us, and we will continue to bring you some shows that we think are beneficial. Also, go to our website at www.thechamber.me, and you can sign up for our newsletter, and that way you'll know what shows are coming up. We'll send that out to you. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. April, Kanisha, and Tamara. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.